Ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday, May 6, 2013. I'm your host, Alex Jones, and we're live at 7:06 and 52 seconds Central Standard Time. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, all the viewers at InfoWarsNews.com. Now, coming up in studio, David Knight is going to interview that New Hampshire Live Free or Die state representative who officially questioned the official narrative of the Boston bombing because of all the evidence of the drill and the false flag. So that is coming up after the news portion of the transmission here tonight. We're also going to get into the latest developments in Syria, and we are also going to break down what is unfolding with Obama and his latest statements about how, hey, don't listen to people that tell you that there is tyranny in government. So all that and more coming up tonight. But first off, our top story here today. I'm in to the show about an hour and 45 minutes. Lou Rockwell of LouRockwell.com is on, a famous icon of libertarian activism and thinking. And we're looking at Drudge Report, and they have the CNS news story. Adam Kokesh, frequent guest of this show, libertarian activist in his own right, radio host. And the headline is, he's calling for an armed march on the White House. So I think, hey, let's get him on to see what he has to say. And he comes on with the provocative statements, obviously designed for the media to say, we are here to overthrow the government. We are here for an armed revolt. But it's an intellectual revolt to show that we have our rights and can march into D.C. So I want to be clear. I don't think he's a provocateur. I don't think Adam Kokesh is a bad guy. He was in Marine Corps public relations in Iraq, or PSYOPs, but he was an early person to criticize Fallujah, where he was stationed, and a lot of the abuses and war crimes that he says he saw that we know were committed there. So I think Adam's a good guy overall. Obviously, the system can provocateur this. Obviously, the system could try to demonize this, but they will do that with anything we do. I mean, hell, here in America, if I told Piers Morgan, you're a redcoat that wants to take our guns, we're not stupid. We know what's going on. We know that this is about victim disarmament. That was radical to the average American because we're so domesticated. I mean, Paul Revere called for arms to arms. The redcoats are coming. Let's kill them. That's what America was founded out of. We're like, oh, right, Boston Tea Party. Oneth by land, doeth by sea. But now today, just getting in their face, we're not supposed to do that. Because getting in people's face is actually what gets things done. So I want to be clear. Justice be done, though the heavens may fall. I know this could be a present to the establishment, but desperate times need desperate measures. I don't think people should take children to this. Kokesh says that they're going to have their rifles on their backs, march from Virginia, where it's legal to have open carry, where the Second Amendment is still alive to a certain extent, into Mordor, into D.C., Washington, D.C., where there is total victim disarmament, one of the highest crime rates in the country, after Chicago, which also has total victim disarmament. Now, in the case, District of Columbia versus Heller from 2006, the Supreme Court was forced to rule that, yes, you have a right to keep and bear arms, and D.C., and by extension, Chicago, New York, you name it, are not allowed to have a total gun ban for citizens, and that people have a right to own firearms for their protection. I mean, look, Obama has people to guard him. All the big movie people and TV people in Hollywood and New York and D.C., they have armed guards. They have special permits that are almost impossible to get. So why can't we, as the common people? Everywhere the president goes, hundreds of Secret Service. I saw today in Austin, because he's coming to Austin in 3 days, I saw the big Air Force One helicopter. With the Black Hawk with the green bottom and the white top flying around Austin, I guess testing the Emperor's landing as he comes here to praise our anti-gun police chief and tries to openly push federalization of police. This is a group armed to the teeth, buying billions of bullets, thousands of armored vehicles, openly training for open war against us. How can they have guns, but we can't? How did the servants become the master? The awakening is happening, and just like with the civil rights movement, and black folks and others, joined by people like Charlton Heston, saying we're going to go to the lunch counters in Oklahoma, in Alabama, and other areas, and we're going to eat. We're going to go to the bathroom. We're going to go in the hotels. We're going to sit in the front seat of the bus. No more back of the bus. Well, the entire American people take the back of the bus. We're all slaves now, according to the feds, who have no due process, no Bill of Rights, no dignity, no Constitution. So I get open carry to show people, hey, we've got a right to carry guns. Stop trying to say they have to be locked up in our house. Stop saying that we're servants of the government. But this is Mordor. This is D.C. And so they're going to muster there at the famous Arlington Cemetery. They're going to try to march down and across the bridge into D.C. And the media is going to demonize this 7 ways to Sunday. I have mixed feelings about it. I understand why Lew Rockwell says this is a present to the enemy. But I also understand that in a country where you can't even get in a redcoat's face who wants to take your guns, where people are shocked by that, people need to have their Overton window or their normalcy bias moved from basically total Sovietization, like we see the mainstream media pushing, towards radical liberty. Because it's not radical. How do we trust the government? How do we trust the establishment to have weapons, but then we're not supposed to? Well, we can trust the government. They're professionals. Like Nazi Germany, like Soviet Russia, like Maoist China. In every case, from ancient Rome to today, people that are disarmed are slaves. The first gun laws in this country were passed after the Civil War in the South because blacks were now going out and buying guns to protect themselves, and they were actually shooting and killing people that came and tried to burn their house down. It's the very same thing. Hitler took the guns after he got control. The Soviets did the same thing. It's elementary. Conquered peoples are disarmed. So I obviously think this is a big thing that's happening. I have not done it because my instincts tell me it will be turned towards evil. But Adam Kokesh and other people have a right to be armed with loaded firearms in Virginia, and even the Supreme Court has ruled 4 years ago now, 4 years ago, that D.C. is illegally, along with Illinois and others, illegally not letting people have guns for protection. And so what they're doing is bold, and I would warn anybody that's involved in it. It's a very dangerous situation. I intend to go and cover it, but you have to support these basic rights, and you have to overall support the courage it takes to do something like this. So that's what I have to say about it. Now, the full interview from today is archived at prisonplanet.tv right now. And we've also just got the full interview up on YouTube for people there on the main Alex Jones channel. But we're going to go to about a 6-minute excerpt of the front end of the interview because we posted it at Infowars.com with the headline, talk show host calls for armed march on Washington, D.C., overthrow of government. And that is a quote. And I went into Adam and I said, look, let's have the clarification. You mean like Rosa Parks sitting at the front of the bus, she was overthrowing discrimination in places like, was it Selma, Alabama? So this is an intellectual overthrow, and if they want to start a fight like Lexington or Concord, so be it. And he said, yes, exactly. But the media is going to take what he said out of context, so it's our job to point out they're a bunch of liars. It's just that by using those type of provocative terms like overthrow the government, armed revolt, a revolt against them saying we can't be armed, I get in the legalese what he's saying, but that will be used against him and others. So I think saying he's going to have an armed march on D.C. Is probably enough than escalating it. So that said, fortune favors the bold, and our fortune we're looking for is basic liberty and freedom. So let's go ahead and go to this clip, and then we'll come back and get into Obama engaged in his authoritarian revolution, saying you didn't build that, you're small business. You didn't paint that painting. You didn't compose that song. I didn't host this show live tonight. The crew didn't get this whole show together. No, ladies and gentlemen, the government did it. The government, not my father. My father didn't get in bed with my mother and then change my diapers and work and take care of me with her. No, the government, in an immaculate conception, climbed on top of my mother, and that's how you got Alex Jones. I am the son of Obama, Bill Hicks. So let's go ahead and go to this tape. Now, joining us from Virginia is Adam Kokesh. He is an American activist and talk radio host. AdamVersusTheMan.com is his news website. And I saw up on DrudgeReport.com about an hour ago, and we'll punch that up on screen, the headline, radio host who lead armed march on D.C. July 4th to put government on notice that we won't be intimidated, and that is CNS News. Now, they plan to march from Virginia to the bridge, and here to give us specific details first, here on the Alex Jones Show, is Adam Kokesh. He is a Marine Corps veteran of Iraq and Fallujah, and he has a lot of courage. I have never done this. People have asked me to do this many times. I've never done it because I'm concerned they'll send in provocateurs and stage something to demonize gun owners. I believe in open carry. I believe we have the right to do it. Doing it around the nation has really shown that there is a right to keep and bear arms. Adam Kokesh, tell us what's happening and tell us what you're planning.
Alex, this is an armed revolt against the American government. Make no mistake about it. That does not change the nature of the event, and that does not change the fact that every criticism leveled against what we are planning to do would be true of any act of resistance, of any open protest, of any act of rebellion. And to say, well, there are potential negative consequences as an excuse to cower before government does not strike me as something that would be said by someone who cares about risking what they hold dear to achieve what we hold most dear, and that is the liberty that is supposed to be a core value of this nation. And it's really disgusting to see that there are those who would use the exact same tactics that they are saying are potentials in order to derail this effort. That, oh, somebody might say something bad about this, so we're going to say something bad about it now. And I heard the criticism from the esteemed Mr. Rockwell suggesting that we have a peaceful event. We are having a peaceful event. And what we're going to be doing is gathering at the National Cemetery on Independence Day in the morning and mustering into a formation. We hope to make sure that this is done in the safest and most visible and obvious way possible. And if I have to personally inspect every single individual carrying in that formation to ensure that that's what it is, that's what's going to happen. We will only invite individuals, at least who are not law enforcement officers, to be there with only a rifle or a shotgun slung across their back where their hands are not anywhere near it, and it can be made completely clear that they are coming in peace while asserting their right to be armed. We are going to march across the bridge, the Memorial Bridge, into the District of Columbia, where open carry is not permitted, march down Independence Avenue, around the Capitol, around the Supreme Court, and then up Pennsylvania Avenue, around the White House, back down to Constitution Avenue, and back peacefully to Virginia. What I'm going to be doing is coordinating with law enforcement. My recommendation to them is that they give us an escort, and they allow us to conduct our march peacefully in an orderly manner and make it clear why we are there. However, should they decide to say that we will not be welcome in the District of Criminals, Mortar on the Potomac, we will make it clear to the country and to the world that free people are not welcome in the capital of what is supposed to be the freest nation on earth, which we know to not be true now for many, many years, and yet so many Americans seem to labor under this illusion. And just recently, speaking in Mexico, incidentally, President Obama said, I think many of you know that in America, our Constitution guarantees our individual right to bear arms. And as president, I swore an oath to uphold that right, and I always will. Well, we're going to find out on Independence Day 2013 whether President Obama and the law enforcement officers that enforce his will in the District of Columbia are oath keepers or oath breakers, and whether they're actually going to stand up for the Constitution and the Second Amendment to which they swore an oath. Should there be any meeting of physical resistance, I have declared that, at least for myself, and I will ask everybody who is attending as a free individual to follow the same principles, that if we are going to be confronted physically, we are not going to physically challenge anyone. We are not going to cause any harm. We are going to conduct a peaceful event. And should we be confronted by law enforcement, even to the point of meeting physical resistance, if they do not create an immediate threat to life and limb, we will submit to the physical will of the government as it represents what it does today, and hope that we can reach out to those behind it. We can reach out to those who think that they should be able to affect the actions of others through the coercion of government rather than the persuasion that we as libertarians hold superior. And we are going to find out where this country stands come this Independence Day.
All right, and again, that's just a 6-minute excerpt or so. The full excerpt is now up at prisonplanet.tv from the 30-plus minute interview today. Very important to get that out to people. And look, you got a group marching to the White House to defy tyranny openly. A lot of timid people don't want a physical revolution to start in this country. I don't want that either, because I think we're winning the info war. But the paper tiger of the foreign banking cartels that have occupied D.C. and that believe they're above the law, this is certainly a shot across their bow politically. I mean, I've been to D.C. 4 or 5 times the last decade, and every time I'm there, I'll be at the Washington Monument shooting, cutaway shots, things you've seen in our films, and cops will walk over and go, "You can't videotape here." I'll go, "What's the law?" And they'll go, "The law is I'll arrest you." And then I saw them do it to, like, families with kids who'd be videotaping with their family. And of course, I was there with a independent film channel crew who went and tried to get permits, but you can't get permits to something that is already the First Amendment. And then they would say, "No, you can't be in the park 100 yards from the monuments or anywhere in America." And now they're telling kids, you can't, at your commencement speech, when you're valedictorian, say, I want to thank Jesus. You individually have a right to your free speech. The state can't have an official religion. So the hoax of telling the military they can't pray at chapel, or that they can't have a Christian chaplain, they've got Muslim chaplains and others, they're saying, no Christians allowed now. This is a persecution of Christians. Why has Christianity always been persecuted? You need to ask yourself that question. Well, Christianity was at the forefront of ending slavery in Rome about 1,600 years ago, or a little bit more, actually, about 1,700 years ago now. The truth is, the establishment does not like Christianity. It likes everything else. You've got to ask yourself why. Not the establishment Christianity, but the real thing. So this is a big deal what Adam Kokesh is doing. I'm watching to see if the media demonizes this or if they ignore it because they're so scared of it. Because the image of the police arresting people when the Supreme Court has ruled that you can open carry. And again, even in Texas, you don't see guns in gun racks even in rural areas anymore because the cops will pull you over, get in your face, and harass you hardcore. And that's why I've said we should have open carry rallies. And we've covered open carry rallies. I have the awesome police chief in studio. I bring 50 cals in to say, hey, you're a little uncomfortable by this. You've got a loaded gun in my studio on your hip. I feel totally fine with that. I've got a gun right here underneath in my radio studio. We need to get a gun right here too, I think. No, everybody ever comes in here on us, and we're not going to just lay down and get in a fetal position like they teach kids in school. So I got to be honest, I totally get what Adam Kokesh is doing. It's just that in a country where people couldn't handle me getting in Piers Morgan's face and saying, look, you redcoat, you want our guns. Everywhere you're in control, you take them. You want a monopoly of force. And if you try it, it's going to cause 1776 Part 2. Do you got it? The timid public can't even handle that. Imagine this. I think you're going to see some coverage of this, but not as much as you'd expect because they're scared of this. You know, I was talking to an Esquire reporter just a few days ago who was visiting with us, and he's a big national reporter, John Richardson, one of the biggest profile reporters in the country, probably in the top 3. And he said, well, we can't stand up against the tanks and helicopters. And I said, well, we've already won the hearts and minds of most of the military. And I said 100,000 U.S. troops couldn't hold Baghdad. And we're more armed than the average Iraqi. It's over. Okay, it's over. It's the beginning of the end. The New World Order is dead on arrival. And I don't say that from some chutzpah-fueled, bravada-fueled, macho-fueled place. I'm the last one that wants violence. But let me tell you, none of us are going to your FEMA camps. I mean, we could see you stage the Boston bombing, clearly staged. The guys are on CIA payroll. Patsies you set up. You kill the one brother. The other brother gets out of the boat after you shoot it up. The media's got a camera on it so you can't kill him. We watched the scanner, heard the audio, video of the scanner from Boston on Ustream. So did 2 million plus people watching it with us simultaneously. I ran in here and went live early at like 6:45 because of it. And the cops are like, no, abort, abort, after we shoot it up, because the media is on it now. And then he stands up, he's fine. They're like, how the hell did he survive all those bullets? They cut his throat out and then announce, as I predicted, he admits he's guilty. No judge, no jury, no proof, not even him saying it. Just, they could grab you or I, throw us in a dungeon and say we admitted to killing. You know what? Jeffrey Dahmer didn't do it. Alex Jones did. You know what? The Romans didn't crucify Christ with the Jews. You know who it really was? It was Ron Paul. They could grab him, put him in prison. He can't speak for himself. Ron Paul admits he got in a time machine, went back in time to kill Christ. You're like, well, that's ridiculous. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, after they tortured his kids, after 4 years of being waterboarded, 7 years, confessed to bombing buildings that weren't built until 4 years after he was incarcerated. That's where the 4 years comes from. I mean, he might as well have confessed to, killing Lincoln, for that matter, back in the 1860s. So there's where I stand on this. I have mixed feelings about it at my gut level, and I know that things could be provocateured. I don't think Kokesh is a Fed, but I think he is operating on a lot of adrenaline, and he did work in PSYOPs for the Marines. And if he is a deep cover operative, he's super slick. I've met him in person a few times. I don't think, my gut doesn't tell me this is a setup. But you know what? I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there in D.C. to cover this on July 4th, 2013. I'm all in 2013. And we're going to have observers there, and I'm calling on an army, thousands of people with cameras to be there, because the pen is mightier than the sword, to cover every angle. And I believe then they'll back off, won't have a false flag, won't have a provocateur event, and we'll just probably arrest Kokesh when he tries to cross the bridge. And then we'll have a Supreme Court case. So we win, win, win. So for all the timid souls out there, stop being afraid. None of you are getting out of this alive anyways. This thing, this New World Order, just blew the generator. It is cutting the power. In a couple hours, it's going to be absolute zero in here. A couple hours politically is a couple decades. Of course, I'm quoting the 1980s, Kurt Russell, one of my favorite sci-fi films, The Thing. But this thing isn't getting out of here alive either. None of us are going to make it. But this thing isn't going to get out of here either. It wants to go to sleep. It wants us to go to sleep. It wants to just grow slowly. That isn't going to happen. We're going to force the confrontation. We're going to expose. Just think of how they tried to deny the 2 billion bullets. Think about how they tried to deny the armored vehicles. Think about how they tried to deny the checkpoints. Or TSA was groping people for years. We show the video and discredit them. They're used to just lying and we just accept it. We don't do that anymore. And the human consciousness, the will to be free, is what is driving us now. And now they're trying to buy the bullets up of anybody that can manufacture them. Now Senator Inhofe has confirmed, that's up on Infowars.com today, that indeed they want to keep us from getting bullets. If they can't buy all the guns up, if they can't ban the guns, they'll just ban the bullets by telling every manufacturer, we'll buy whatever caliber you make, as many as you make. They're buying hundreds of thousands more a week, millions every month. Because they're desperate, they're scared, and they can't control the situation. They're using an old authoritarian model in the 21st century. They thought they'd use the web and the soft kill systems to dumb us down and bring this in. But just like insects of the third generation become resistant or immune to pesticides, there are some of us that are immune to you. And all of your crap only makes us angry. All of your manipulation only wakes us up that much faster. All of your attempted domination only confirms to us exactly who you are, you rat bastards, you scum of the earth. So you will fail. Authoritarian control freaks throughout history have sought to make populations dependent. The United Nations openly has talked about using food as a weapon against the third world and the industrialized first world. State Department Memorandum 200, developed by Henry Kissinger, called for destroying the food capacity, not just of the United States, but every country in the world, so they could use food scarcity as a political weapon of control. Just a decade ago, less than 10 million Americans were on food stamps. 4 years ago, it was 25 million. It's now reached almost 50 million. Socialist health care is designed to destroy our health care system. The establishment wants you to be a bunch of cowardly, dumbed-down people who can't stand up for yourselves. That's why they're rushing to try to restrict citizens owning firearms. Because since the early 1990s, gun ownership has gone straight up, while violent crime has gone straight down by 49%. And globalist-controlled strongholds like Chicago and New York, where they've taken the citizens' guns, have the highest crime rates in the world. What am I getting at here? The system doesn't want you to be self-sufficient. That's why I promote the fact that you should go out, buy firearms, and go take lessons and learn how to use them. I want you to stand up for your birthright of liberty and freedom. During a serious meltdown, they're going to tell you, hey, you want food? Turn in your guns. And that's why we need to put the globalists in check. And then finally bring them to checkmate by being self-sufficient, by being prepared, by having a garden, by learning how to can your own foods, by having friends and family and community that will stand together. But at the heart of that is having quality, storable foods. And that's why I went out more than a decade ago and found the very best food company to be my sponsor, eFoods Direct. They're the company that I personally use for my emergency food storage preparation, whether it be for natural disasters or the tyranny that is intensifying. So give them a call, 800-409-5633. That's 800-409-5633. Or efoodsdirect.com/Alex to find the weekly and monthly specials. But they're always running the specials where you can get the free 6 meals and the eFoods Direct audio CD put together by the experts in storable foods to answer all your questions, the eFoods planning guide, the eFoods brochure, the eFoods catalog, plus 6 free meals, creamy potato soup, tortilla soup, and cheesy chicken rice, so you can sample the high-quality storable foods from eFoods Direct. They've got a bunch of other specials.
The 2-week food supply provides one adult with 81 servings of healthy, delicious, storable food for 14 days.
The 1-month food supply provides 192 servings for 28 days.
And then there's the 1-month family food pack. It will change the way you look at the food in your pantry. Every time you eat one of these meals, you are eating healthy, delicious food and saving a lot of money.
The 3-month food supply, 576 servings of storable food for 91 days.
And the 1-year food supply will provide you with 2,304 servings of healthy, delicious, storable food for 1 full year.
Your meals are as delicious and nutritious tonight as they'll be in 25 years.
Bottom line, there's a bunch of specials at efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can also call them at the toll-free number on your screen, and they can send you a catalog with all the specials detailed and tell you about the weekly and monthly specials that they're always running. efoodsdirect.com/Alex to find all the specials or call the toll-free number. And so in closing, when you buy from efoodsdirect.com, you are supporting the radio broadcast, the nightly news, the magazine, the films, and everything we're doing. Because we're not like MSNBC or Media Matters that get government and corporate funding to bring down America and bring in tyranny. We are funded by our sponsors and you, the viewers and listeners that support them. Again, that's efoodsdirect.com/Alex or 800-409-5633. And when you're also visiting Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com, you can click on the banners to take you to the weekly and monthly specials. It's like the Hank Williams Jr. song, "A Country Boy Can Survive," because you can't starve us out and you can't make us run because these boys were raised on shotguns. Well, there aren't really a lot of good old boys left anymore, are there? And those that are out there are demonized and are enemy number 1 by Homeland Security. And good old boys come in all shapes, colors, and sizes. They're people that aren't chumps, who understand that they're going to take care of their family and that nobody else is. They're people that understand that if somebody else is taking care of them, that makes them a slave. And that the government doesn't want you dependent because they want to build a great future for you. They want to get you dependent so they can social engineer us. So the answer is get self-sufficient, become men again, and tell the New World Order to go straight to hell. Alex Jones signing off for Infowars.com and eFoods Direct, our great sponsor.